Happy morning, guys. After this UV section, we are going to concentrate on the material part. This too comes under the texturing. In a texturing, we have to create the shaders, material, and UV, then textures. Now we are going to talk about the shaders. You can see in the rendering, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This are all by default, you can use these shaders. I'm just creating a revolve for this as a mesh in a revolve, creating the polygons, apply. Then I want to smooth this one. So mesh smooth. Okay. Now you apply the material. Once you click over here in the attribute editor, you can see the name of the material, standard surface material. Over here in the rendering tab, I change my rendering tab into a software render and close. Then render it now. This is the standard surface. In 2 version before, it's a new. You cannot see this one. This is a new shader. And then anisotropic. Okay, I'll take a duplicate of. Okay, for this anisotropic, for this, I'm just using the blend. This Lambert, you can see here, it's apply the Lambert. And this one, Fong. And this one, Fong E. It's a name of the material. When you render, each material will look different. Now I'm using the standard render, not Arnold render. We'll jump to Arnold render later. Just go to the standard render and render it. Okay. In this one, you can see the difference between the one material to another material by using the specular. You can see the specular. This one doesn't have any specular. You can see it's a line specular, and you can see it's a dot specular, a no specular, sharp specular, and overall specular. A light spot on the surface. If you see the wet ball, you can see the specular on top of it. In eyes, inside of eyes, you can see the spot. It's not a reflection, it's a spot, it's a light spot. Those speculars is the matter. Now, this is an anisotropy, nothing but a line specular is an anisotropy, a spot specular, it's a blink, no specular, it's a Lambert. What is the example of Lambert? Yes, stone. If you see the stone, stone doesn't have any specular. Any matte finishing object, no specular. Okay, so Lambert objects, Lambert is a no specular objects. A foam, sharp, eye, foam E, bottle kind of a things you can use. Mostly in one particular, choose anything. Maybe you can choose a anisotropy, blend, but not a Lambert. Foggy, this all as a specular so that you can adjust. Okay, how to go to that one? Select anything. Suppose if you're selecting this, in this one, in this channel boson, attribute editor, you can see the last tab is a blend. So this one connected with the blend, and the next one connected with the Lambert. Here, when you click a blend or Lambert, doesn't matter, the common material attributes are same. Select the blend, you can see the common material attributes are same. Then the specular shading of this particular attributes will make a difference. Suppose if you select the attributes of the anisotropy, you can see the specularity X and Y axis of the specularity. This is entirely different. You can see this is a line specular. If you rotate the line, you can see the line is rotating. Suppose if you need a top to bottom, left to right, so you can change your specular. Especially you can see the silver handles. When you drag it and leave it, then you can see the specular will travel in a line manner. In a silver bottle, you can see the specular in the line manner. So specular. Anisotropy is used for that. But from here, color, transparency, ambience, incandescence, bump, diffuse, translucence. These are all same for maybe for Blinn, maybe for Lambert, maybe for foam or a Foggy. These things are same. So this is what we are going to talk about. But the standard surface is totally different. In the standard surface, you can see it's a weight and then specular weight. This thing is different. First, we'll understand what it is. And then we'll switch to this. The first one is a color, which is determining the color of this object. Suppose you need an orange color. You can choose the color of the orange. So entire objects become orange color. Okay, now I go to the Blinn. What is the transparency? Yes, opacity, opaque, transparent. So here it's a value, you can see that black is a 0 transparent, white is a 1 transparent, gray is a 0.5 transparent. So I'll increase the transparency high. So what happens is the Blinn, even the transparency is high, you can able to see the specular on top of it. It will reflect the light specular. Now you render for this one, you can see it's orange, you can see, and transparent one, but still the specular is there. So you know what is color, that what is transparency, then ambient color. It means environment color. Suppose the object is white and it is not underwater. What is the ambient color in underwater? Yes, bluish, deep bluish. So when you render, you can see it's a color of the object, but the gray shades, you can see the ambient color. Ambient color is environment color. Suppose objects are in a red color room, the ambient color is red. We can achieve this by using the light itself. You can keep the light and change the light color. The shadow areas will change accordingly. But ambient color is nothing but, yes, environmental color. Underwater, suppose if it is the forest is emit the greenish, so dark green. Now you render the light scattered greenish. Okay. The next one is incandescence. Incandescence is nothing but the self-illumination. The object color is white. The self-illumination, if you take the self-illumination like a light, torch light, or a fire, yes, fire is an incandescence. So change the color into a red, and then the color also should be the red, because it's emit the red and then the color is red. You see the radium in your watches, isn't it? Night times clothes called incandescence, self-illumination. For that you can use. The next one is a form E. The other things are right. Then the next one is a bump. Bump is nothing but a noise on the surface. And this is also known as a normal map. Bump is also known as normal map. So here you cannot give any specific color because it does not works with the color, it works with a texture. Again, the concept of bump is same. Black is 0, white is 1. Now I like to give you an example in this checker map. Click on the file. No, I don't want to give the file. I want to give a noise. You can see the noise. Once you click the noise, you can see what is the bump depth, value of the bump. And then you can see a noise. So this is a noise. You can see the white and black. Wherever the white, the bump is high. Wherever the black, the bump is less. Now, select this. Then you can see bump is connected. How to disconnect it? First we'll render, then we'll disconnect. So, okay, closer one, render. You can see the beautiful texture is happening on top of the mesh. It is not model. It is a bump texture. Now, right click on the bump, then you can see a break connection. So it will break the connection and it will become empty again. Now you can reconnect with grid. Anything actually. Now you render. You can see the grid on top of it. So it will very much helpful to you. You can see the bump value, it's a 1. Suppose if you want to decrease this bump value or increase the bump value, you can do that. Accordingly, the bump depth will increase or decrease. I'll give you a 0.2 value. I can see the depth. Suppose if I do the minus 0.5 value, it will just reverse. So first I like to store this image to compare. Click on this one. So it's stored, then render here. Now you compare. This is the positive value and this is the negative value. So what is negative value is? First we need to know what is positive value is. In positive value, black is 0, white is 1. So wherever the white, it will come up, black will go inside. In negative value, yes, right, it will happen reversely. How to go forward and backward of this one? Why we need to go forward and backward? Okay, let me show you something. So I like to create a pencil tool. Take this is a mesh. Okay, this mesh, I'm going to apply a material. This material cannot go and fall directly to this mesh. There is something called a shader, something called a connector. From this connector, it will connect towards this, from here to here. From this, we have a material. So the material cannot go and connect directly. So we need an initial shading group. From initial shading group, it can be a color, or it can be a displacement map. Okay, or it can be a smoke map. Okay, so 3 inputs are there. So first inputs we connected. This is a material. Maybe it's a lamp, it can be a foam or foggy. Okay, how to see that over here? Now select this, select any of this one. You can see that this is the anisotropy. You can see that arrow backward, arrow forward. Now this is called anisotropy shading group. You can see that initial shading group. Volume material is a smoke material. Surface material is a color material. Displacement material, it's a displacement material. It just looks like a bump, but it is not bump. We'll talk about it more. So from here, 3 connections are there, but only 1 connection we connected with. So we are not just put the material on top of the mesh. We need an initial shading group. Then you create this. How to see that? It's very simple. Select any of this one and go to the material editor. Next to the render settings, you can see the material editor. Click on it. Once you click on this one, I'm selecting this. Now you can see input and output connection of this mesh. What you're seeing is initial shading group. Then you can click input output connection. So now you can see the foam is connected to this, and then this is connected to the mesh. Okay, now what happens if I disconnect it? You can see the mesh has become green, and under it, the mesh is gone. It is not visible at all. Why? Because of the initial shading node. You can see the mesh is created. For render, it need a initial shading group. After that, from the initial shading group, there is a 3 outputs are there. What are the output? One is a surface, another one is a volume, another one is a displacement. Now I can see this. Okay, for this, of course, we can change the color, yellow, anything we can do. But at least we need a surface shader, fungi, anisotropy. These are all software render nodes. For Arnold, we have a separate things. But Basic concept is this. By using this 5 shaders, you can do the magics. To understand the attribute is very important. How it works, it's very important. Okay. Okay. In this one, you can see the lights. You click the third one, it's called a point light. If you keep any lights in render, you can see the shades, but there is no shadows. Why? The light attribute shadows, you have to switch on the shadows on. Now render. Now we got a light and we got a shadows also. Nice. Now, any attributes, if you adjust this parameters, you'll get the proper material. So this is the introduction of the material and how it works. Okay, next section we'll talk about this hypershade hierarchy. In hypershades, we can connect with the nodes. We can play with the nodes. The next section we'll talk about the hypershade hierarchies. Okay, guys, that's it today's section. Have a wonderful Easter. Bye-bye, guys.